Thanks so much for watching Ever News Live on this Christmas Day. I'm Francesca Maxime. Here's a look at the top stories making headlines all around the world at this hour. Just over a week after a deadly shooting rampage in New England claimed the lives of 20 children and several adults, another deadly shooting and fire in upstate New York. This time, a former convict is to blame. And with just 2 months separating Christmas from Superstorm Sandy, communities in New Jersey are still trying to recover, making this Christmas one they will not soon forget. But there is hope as people come together to help storm victims. In Syria, rebels say they have taken hold of a Turkish border town. They say that dozens of government troops surrendered yesterday and that the capture only finally happened after weeks of fighting there. And finally, the Pope gives his Christmas address and asks for peace in Syria, as well as Israel and Palestine. We'll take you to the Vatican straight ahead. Well, a former convict has killed 2 firefighters in what appears to have been an ambush. The scene, Webster, New York, where, again, a man legally prohibited from buying guns somehow gets a hold of a rifle and carries out a senseless attack, taking innocent lives. Police say they have now also found a note from the shooter saying that he was, quote, doing what he likes doing best, killing people.
The fire, set in one house, which spread to several others, was intentionally set, according to fire investigators, to lure firefighters to the scene. The gunman, armed with a rifle, then laid in wait.
The responding firefighters, when they pulled up on the scene, were fired upon by one or more shooters. 4 of the firefighters were shot, 2 were deceased, 2 were transported to area hospitals.
The gunman then exchanged shots with police before finally turning his gun on himself. During the shooting, police used an armored vehicle to evacuate surrounding residents.
And it's a shock that something like this would happen, but for some reason, violence is rearing its ugly head in this community, everywhere.
Turns out the suspect, 62-year-old William Spengler, had served 17 years in prison for beating his 92-year-old grandmother to death in 1980. Authorities say he was paroled in 1998 and had led a quiet life since, living with his mother and sister in the house he set fire to. Police didn't immediately know a motive. They said Spengler's mother died in October and that his 67-year-old sister, Cheryl Spengler, was still unaccounted for. That fire he set destroyed 7 homes. Police have yet to determine whether there are more victims.
Well, that shooting in upstate New York, now to the community of Newtown, Connecticut, where they are still healing from the massacre at an elementary school there. There has been an outpouring of messages of support and sorrow for the people of Sandy Hook as the town prepared to observe Christmas Eve.
It's been 10 days after the elementary school massacre that claimed the lives of 20 first graders and 6 teachers and administrators. At the town hall, strangers delivered hundreds of handmade cards and snowflakes collected as they toured the state in a chartered bus. The town hall has become a gathering point for those dropping off donations and in need of a place to congregate and find comfort in one another. Paula Pike said her thoughts are with all the parents who lost a child.
How do you get through Christmas? What happens if that next weekend was that Saturday was the day they were going to take him to see Santa? Or what happens if the last Saturday was the day you took him to see Santa and that's the last picture you have?
Newtown resident Steve Fisher says he doesn't think the town will ever really get over it.
I don't think this will ever go away. We'll just somehow move on and just remember all these little kids and the great teachers that were there to support them.
The attack has galvanized the gun control debate in the United States, where the Constitution protects possession of firearms. President Barack Obama is expected to propose steps next month to tighten gun laws. Wayne LaPierre, the head of the hugely influential U.S. gun lobby, the NRA, defended his call for armed guards in all schools, despite withering criticism of the group's response to the Newtown massacre.
Well, to Afghanistan now, an Afghan official says the police woman who killed an American contractor in Kabul was an Iranian who came to Afghanistan 10 years ago with her husband and who obtained a fake ID through him. Investigators say the woman had previously shown unstable behavior, but nothing more. Journalists in Kabul were shown a passport reportedly belonging to the killer that showed that she was born in Tehran in 1972. Joseph Griffin, age 49, of Mansfield, Georgia, was shot dead Monday in what was the first such shooting by a woman in a spate of insider attacks by Afghan security personnel against foreign troops working alongside them. The U.S. security firm Dincor International says that Griffin was a U.S. military veteran who had earlier worked with law enforcement agencies in the U.S. In Kabul, he was advising the Afghan police force. Well, troops in Afghanistan celebrated Christmas Eve in Kabul with a special Christmas meal and a candlelight service. U.S. and other NATO country soldiers took a break from the front lines to share in that holiday spirit.
This job comes with a price, and many of the soldiers, they realize that price. So even though we like to be with our families, we realize the importance of what we're doing here, and we believe in it.
Men and women in Kabul's U.S.-led coalition base dined among decorative paper snowmen, Christmas trees, and Santa Clauses, while underneath them their weapons temporarily rest, tucked beneath their seats. Spanish soldiers were on guard outside the high-security compound at the Kabul International Airport.
Yeah, I feel a little homesick. I wish I could, be with family and friends. It's a time of the year where everybody gets together, enjoys being together pretty much.
American troops are serving their 12th Christmas in Afghanistan this year, with approximately 66,000 troops currently serving in Afghanistan. Kabul International Airport is home to multinational NATO country members who are serving under the NATO banner in Afghanistan.
Well, Pope Benedict XVI wished Christmas peace to the whole world today, decrying the slaughter of the defenseless in Syria and urging Israelis and Palestinians to find the courage to negotiate.
May the birth of the Prince of Peace remind the world where his true happiness lies, and may our hearts be filled with hope and joy, for the Savior has been born for us.
Benedict prayed for the people of Syria, appealing for an end to the bloodshed, for easier access for the relief of refugees and the displaced, and for dialogue in the pursuit of a political solution to the conflict. He also prayed that China's new leaders respect religion. It is a reference to the persecution that Chinese Roman Catholics have at times endured under communism. Less than 12 hours earlier, the 85-year-old Benedict had led a 2-hour-long Christmas Eve ceremony in the Basilica. All right, well, activists say that Syrian rebels have fully captured a northern town near the Turkish border today after weeks of siege and heavy fighting. The takeover of Haram was the latest in a string of recent rebel successes that include the capture of wide areas along the border with Turkey. Most of those areas have been in, in northern Aleppo province, where anti-government forces have captured, at least 3 military bases. Britain-based Syrian Observatory for Human Rights said that nearly 30 soldiers and pro-government gunmen surrendered late Monday. Meanwhile, in Israel, top officials said that they cannot corroborate Syrian activists' claims that the regime has used chemical weapons against its citizens. Vice Premier Moshe Yaalon told that Army radio that Israel has no confirmation or proof the regime has employed such weapons in the civil war. He does, however, say that Israel is monitoring the situation with concern. All right, well, authorities have sealed off a high-security zone in the Indian capital for a second day to put an end to a week of demonstrations against the brutal gang rape of a woman on a moving bus.
Against the Indian government,
Sorry about that.
Indian police, who are not taking any action against this brutal thing which is happening almost every day in our country.
We're asking for justice for the girl, we're asking for justice for us, we're asking for our safety, and that is the only thing. That is my view.
Dozens of demonstrators Tuesday gathered at a venue about a kilometer from the Parliament building to press the government to ensure women's security. A police officer injured in Sunday's clashes with protesters died in the hospital, and police have filed a murder case against some protesters. That, according to a police spokesman. The demonstrations have continued despite promises by the government that it will consider protesters' demands that all 6 suspects who have been arrested following last Sunday's attack face the death penalty. Well, survivors of a plane crash in Myanmar were flown to the former capital Yangon today. 3 people were killed when an internal flight came down on a road near the city of Hiho and ended up in a paddy field. The operators, Air Bagan, said among the 4 foreigners were 2 Americans, 1 British and 1 Korean. It described the incident as a, quote, emergency landing. Air Bagan said the fatalities were all Myanmar citizens, a tour guide and an 11-year-old child on board the plane, a man riding a motorcycle on the road where the plane came down. Now, authorities allege the pilot mistook the road for a runway due to bad weather and poor visibility. Well, in China, news of a deadly accident has families reeling. 11 children were killed Monday after a minivan plunged into a pond in East China's Jiangxi province. 15 kindergarteners, 1 teacher, and 1 driver were in the van when the accident happened. Local authorities say the 11 children killed were 8 boys and 3 girls, just 4 to 6 years old. 4 other children who were injured are in stable condition. Rescuers pumped out pond water 3 to 4 meters deep until late on Monday to make sure there were no other victims. A man who lives nearby saw the accident happen, rushed to the pond barefoot, and paddled a boat to the sinking vehicle. He then managed to save 2 children and a teacher, though one of the windows, or through, I should say, one of the van's windows. Police have detained the driver for questioning. Well, thousands living in Russia's Far East and Siberia have had to leave their homes because old pipes have begun to burst in continued heavy snow and cold weather. All right, well, to Mexico City now. Mexico City has started up a new program that offers cash, I should say, toys and computer equipment all in exchange for guns. It's happening in a neighborhood where a 10-year-old boy was killed by a stray bullet at a movie theater. The program is called For Your Family Voluntary Disarmament. It allows people to turn in their weapons anonymously without being charged with illegal possession. Borough President Jesus Valencia tweeted Monday that residents had already returned 27 rifles and 65 pistols. Officials say they expect to collect up to 1,800 weapons by the end of 2013. Children could also exchange toy guns for non-violent toys. The first phase of the program began yesterday and runs until the end of the year, and then the second phase will run throughout 2013 and will be administered in Mexico City's 16 boroughs. All right, well, vroom vroom on this one. Luxury brand Ferrari is working to shake off its reputation of producing gas-guzzling racing cars by developing vehicles which consume less fuel. Within the next few months, the company is also expected to unveil a hybrid vehicle.
Luxury cars have long been criticised for putting performance ahead of the environment. But Ferrari's California 30 epitomises the company's new philosophy, increased performance while reducing emissions.
On average, we try to add about 100 horsepower from one model to the next, whilst cutting carbon dioxide by around 30 grams.
In order to do this, the brand has embraced lighter technology and adapted certain methods that's used in Formula One racing. At this factory in Emilia-Romagna, trees have been planted in between the machines to control humidity in the air. And in the coming months, it's expected a hybrid car will be unveiled.
Vettura ibrida intesa però vettura ibrida Ferrari.
It's a hybrid, yes, but a hybrid Ferrari means we have to work on how to retain energy, for example during braking, and we need to work on using this stored energy not only to reduce energy consumption, but also to enhance the pleasure of driving a Ferrari.
After record sales for the past 2 years, Ferrari is hoping 2012 will be as successful. During 2011, 7,200 Ferraris were sold worldwide, up almost 10% on 2010. And for the first time ever, sales have hit more than €2 billion.
Opportunità crediamo ce ne siano in tutto il mondo.
Well, we think there are opportunities all around the world. Of course, there are markets where we're more cautious, like Europe, for example. But on the other hand, there are markets where the economy is growing and will continue to grow, like in Asia and China.
Tutti I mercati asiatici, inclusa la Cina.
In a bid to rein in the customers, Ferrari offers custom-made designs to suit every taste, and demand is strong. Around 98% of clients opt for a tailor-made Ferrari, adding an additional 50% to the cost of the vehicle.
Those are some pretty cars. Well, animals all around the world fared very differently in 2012. Endangered animals were increasingly under threat from illegal trading, habitat loss, and poaching for use in traditional medicines. But pampered pets, however, no, they never had it so good.
The Asiatic lion once roamed from Morocco and Greece to the eastern reaches of India, but now there are only around 400 remaining. Conservationists say the lions have outgrown their home and want to remove some of the lions to create a second sanctuary elsewhere. But relocation would lower the risk of disease or natural disaster wiping the subspecies out. And so the debate rumbles on. Over in the U.S., another natural giant, gentler than the lion. Manatees are 1,200-pound sea cows, with a reputation for being bulky and clumsy. But new research dispels this myth. Scientists are proving these poor-sighted mammals are graceful in even the murkiest waters, navigating with a unique sense of touch. And in Cambodia, the sun bears are the world's smallest bear species. These adorable creatures are under the twin threat of habitat loss and illegal hunting. But charities are working hard to save the remaining animals. Also, only 200 to 300 elephants are left in the wild in Cambodia, where the greatest threat they face isn't from ivory hunters. Most are shot by villagers when they stray too close to farmland and crops. Still, one animal that could never be described as endangered is the dog. All around the world, dog lovers are pampering their precious pets to an unprecedented level. In Wales, British dog owners who feel guilty about jetting off on holiday without their pets are sending them to their own canine 5-star hotel. This pet hotel charges $45 a night for luxury rooms, which come complete with a bed and a flat-screen TV. And the presidential suite comes complete with its own 24-inch flat-screen television, designer wallpaper, and framed artwork. There's even heating and air conditioning for maximum comfort.
If I had a dog, that's where he'd be staying. All right, well, American pop culture has lost two of its most recognizable character actors. Jack Klugman, best known as the messy sports writer Oscar Madison in TV's The Odd Couple, died Monday at the age of 90. And Charles Durning, who you might remember from the movie Tootsie and The Sting, also passed away yesterday at the ripe old age of 89.
You know, were you in the room when the father was killed? This fighting.
Jack Klugman, who lost his voice to throat cancer in the 1980s and trained himself to speak again, died with his wife by his side. He apparently died suddenly on Monday, and family members were not sure of the exact cause. The son of Russian Jewish immigrants, he was born in Philadelphia and began his acting career in college drama at the Carnegie Institute of Technology. After serving in the Army during World War II, he went on to summer stock and off-Broadway, rooming with fellow actor Charles Bronson as they both looked for paying jobs. Klugman made his Broadway debut in 1952 in a revival of Golden Boy, and received a Tony nomination for Gypsy. His film credits include Sidney Lumet's 12 Angry Men and Blake Edwards' Days of Wine and Roses. An early television highlight was appearing with Humphrey Bogart in a production of The Petrified Forest. Charles Durning, on the other hand, was born into poverty in New York. Durning was one of the first U.S. soldiers on Omaha Beach during World War II's D-Day invasion. He was his unit's lone survivor of a Nazi machine gun ambush and later survived a German massacre of American POWs. Durning said his memory of killing an attacking soldier in hand-to-hand combat never left him. Durning received numerous Oscar, Tony, and Emmy Award nominations. He's best known for his performances in The Sting, Dog Day Afternoon, The Muppet Movie, and Tootsie, among many others.
A great actor and a war hero, too. All right, well, finally on this Christmas Day, we want to leave you with some beautiful sights and sounds of celebrations of the holiday from all around the globe. From all of us here at Ebru News, we are wishing you the very happiest of holidays. I'm Francesca Maxime. Thanks so much for watching.